To Washington now, where President Trump's ramping up the pressure on the Senate to confirm his nominees. Lawmakers pushing off their summer recess to force that effort. So where do things stand now? Let's ask Oklahoma Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin. Senator, welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
So 150 plus stalled nominations in the U.S. Senate. Any sign of a deal, sir?
Yeah, Mike, we have three options. The problem that we have right now is Chuck Schumer's chose to take the nuclear option for himself. Mind you, I just want to give some historical facts here. Bush, 41, 198%, I said 100, but 98% of his civilian nominees went by voice vote. Clinton, 98% went by voice vote. Underneath Obama, 90% went by voice vote. Underneath Trump, 41 or 45, he had roughly, roughly 50%, almost 60% went by voice vote. Underneath Biden, same amount. Today, President Trump is the first president in history not to have one single nominee go by unanimous consent or voice vote. In fact, out of the 125 we've confirmed, the only one they haven't filibustered is Marco Rubio, and that was the very first one. But if you look at what we've done underneath the leadership of Thune, we've confirmed 125, where this time in 2017 we'd only confirmed 55. So we are moving forward, but Chuck Schumer is scared of his left. He knows that he can't try to make a deal with us. So we have three options. One, we do get a deal with the Democrats, which is what we'd prefer to do. Let's have a deal on, let's just say we got 55 individuals right now that came out of the committee, reported to the floor with bipartisan support. Let's say, hey, let's do those plus a few more and start cleaning this slate on a unanimous consent or voice vote. And then let's look at why is Senate actually having to confirm 1,200 nominees. There's a whole bunch of these individuals that no one can even name their job position. There isn't any reason why we spend 80% of our calendar doing this. So let's negotiate. But the Democrats, Chuck Schumer, has decided he doesn't want to negotiate. So we have either one, we should get a deal, a good deal, a deal that puts President Trump's people in place. Two, we could recess, Mike, but that is actually really, really tough. It's not as simply as just saying we recess. If we do go into recess, we can't actually recess until the House comes back. Remember, the House left a week and a half ago. It takes both chambers to agree to that. It's also a debatable motion, so it could take days for us to do this, and then before the president could actually put people in place, it would take 10 days, and then it's even questionable if those people we do put in place through recess appointments, if they can get paid. And mind you, they're only in place for 18 months. So it's not a permanent solution. It's a temporary solution. And the third option is we change the rules. All three of those options are on the table, and we're willing to do any three of them. It's really up to Chuck Schumer on what part he's going to force us to do, either take the deal or we go to B or C. It's a great point of negotiation for us, because we're negotiating from a point of strength, not from a point of weakness. He's negotiating from a point of fear.
Are you comfortable staying in session for the next couple of weeks to try to knock off some of that list?
Absolutely. And I think most Republicans are. It will do whatever it takes. It was Leader Thune who said at the beginning of the year, listen, Democrats, we can either do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. Chuck Schumer has chosen to do the hard way. That's why, as I speak to you right now, this Congress has taken more votes than the last 35 years. If you look at the number of days we have been in, we have been in session for more than any Senate in the last 15 years. So we are grinding through it. The Republicans are working closely with President Trump. I spoke to President Trump multiple times over the last 24 hours, including the vice president and people around him. They understand that we're working side by side with them to negotiate the best deal. Even yesterday, Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson, was on the phone with us multiple times. The Republicans are working side by side with President Trump to make sure we deliver for the American people. So whatever we agree to, President Trump has agreed to as well.
A lot of your colleagues are eager to get home at some point to sell their constituents on what's in the big, beautiful bill, passing the Trump legislative agenda. How critical is that when you consider that will likely be the central focus of next year's midterm elections?
Well, fortunately, I'm from the reddest state in the union, so in Oklahoma, they love it. But it's an easy sell, right? You start talking about, we prevented your taxes from increasing across the United States by $4 trillion. We made tax cuts permanent. What the Democrats were trying to do was raise taxes. We secured our southern border for the first time in probably in history, if you really look at it. We're going to actually get the southern wall built. We're investing in our military in large amounts to make sure that we can deliver peace through strength. You start looking about no tax on tips. This is huge, right? No tax on overtime. No tax on Social Security for 88% of the individuals that depend on Social Security. You start looking at the wins that we delivered for energy independence. What we did here is make America great moving forward to the next generation, allowing people to have stability in a regulatory environment, stability in security, stability in taxes, and that's an environment that investors want to invest in. That's why you're seeing our GDP grow by at an average of 3%. That's why you're seeing inflation go down. And by the way, this individual that is no longer over the numbers for job reports that was appointed by Biden, keep in mind she's also the individual that was putting out the fake job reports when Biden was in office. And remember, at the end of their term, they had to go in and revise them, and she missed the reports by hundreds of thousands of positions. So she should have been removed in January, and I'm glad she's out of her job.
All right, Senator Markwayne Mullin clearly fired up on a Saturday. If you get a deal on those nominations, give me a call, sir.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.